So this part of the workshop's about engaging with research participants and stakeholders. So I'm sure the different fields you come from vary, but I particularly have to work with participants when I'm collecting data, so I have to. A lot of my data comes from kind of interviewing people or running, observing people and things like that. So I need to do a lot of work where I need participants, and this is quite an important part because it can be difficult to recruit participants, and if you don't get participants, it can really slow down your research. So it's really important to be able to communicate with your potential participants. And so the next part of this is going to look at kind of different tools that we've used to try and build a better kind of sort of communication with these potential people. So one of the tools that I've used quite a lot in my research, and it's quite a new tool, I don't know how many of you might have heard of it, but it's callforparticipants.com. It was actually set up by someone at the University of Nottingham, and it's a website that anyone can access that just allows you to set up a page to recruit for your research. It's a really useful tool because it provides you with an online presence for your recruitment activities. So where you might have put up flyers all over the university before, or you might have sent out emails, this sort of provides a one-stop place. So you can even, on your paper-based recruitment, you can put a link to this web page, and people can go on and you can, I'll just skip through. So you can set up a study page, and you can fill in information about the location, how long it's going to take participants to take part in the study, what they're going to get in return for it, and it's all easily visible to the participants, and the sort of the type of research. And then you can add a little blurb about the research, and then you can put in sort of criteria for people taking part. So if someone's on this website looking for research, they can say, right, okay, you need to be over 25 to take part in this research, or you need to be, doing sport or something like that. So it's a really good way to kind of get through all the initial questions, sort of screening questions that might otherwise sort of you have to do via email. So for me, it's been a really useful way to recruit for my studies. It's not always been a huge success when I've done it. So what's good is that you can see how many people have gone on and viewed it, and how many people have gone through to take part in the study. So if you've got like 300 people that's viewed it and 0 people participating, you can go back, and that's happened. You can go back and go, okay, is it the design of my study, or is it the way I've represented this? But you can adapt it and kind of try and build up, sort of try and improve the way that your research is represented, or adapt your study slightly, and then you can see if that's allowed a bit more success. So just to summarise it, it's a free tool that anyone can use to promote their research to potential participants. I've said you can kind of talk about, quite easily describe the research, and when you view the page, you can see all the different types of research that are there, and if you look at them, it shows you for each one whether you get money or sincere gratitude or vouchers, and you can actually sort of view it by, you can sort of search it by that. So if you're going on to try and get some money doing it, you can just look for all the ones that say benefit vouchers or something, or if it needs to be in a particular location, you can view that. So you get a lot of sort of less wasted time as a participant and also as a researcher. So as I said, yeah, you can see how many people have viewed the page and chosen to participate, and you can screen people. And actually, you can use this as a tool if you want to be a participant in research. If you want to be a participant in research, it can help you to learn about studies. So I met one of these MSc students who goes on this regularly to take part in research. She was one of my participants, and she does it as a learning activity to learn how other people run studies. So it's actually a really good way, if you're going to be running studies yourself, to go on and take part in some research, because it really gives you an idea of how other people run it, and you can kind of learn from that. So whether you're running a study or you want to learn about running studies, it's a really good website to visit. And you'd be surprised about the amount of research that's on it, and it's actually quite a global website now, although it did just start in Nottingham. So that's cool for participants. One of the things... Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's a very good idea, I think.
Yeah.
However, first of all, you'd have to mention that in your ethics application, presumably.
Yes. You can't set up this thing unless you've got ethics, so they actually ask you.
And the second thing is obviously for NHS patients, if you're doing NHS work, that again, potentially that will be is a possibility, but you were actually obviously addressing patients who are current NHS patients.
Yes.
Not the general public.
Yes, I mean, if you are looking for people who are very specific, like NHS patients suffering from a particular disorder or something, this is perhaps not the best place to go, because it is set up for the general public to access. So it's on the internet, and I suppose the chances of someone happening to browse on that site who has the particular thing that you've got, I don't know how much it would pay off. I mean, it's always a good place. Even if you're going to use other recruitment channels, though, it's still nice to have it there, because people can participate directly through the website. So you can go through the screening questions. They're quite high-level screening questions, but you can put your own ones in. So you can say, you know, our list was actually really long and slightly overwhelming for people, I think. But it's sort of, they can then participate directly. So they say participate in the study, and it will either take them to a website where they could go to participate, or it emails you as the person running the study. So I've used this, and then I've emailed out the link to a particular set of people or things like that. But I think, yeah, ethically you definitely would need to mention it on your ethics. And like I said, you can't actually, they ask you, have you got ethics before you set it up? Because, yeah, ethics is big, but yeah, I'm not expert in NHS ethics.
Yeah. Set it up. They should set something like this up in analogy to the NHS Choices website.
Yeah.
The basic NHS domain, and they should do it really.
Yeah.
Patients are really they're usually interested in these things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's worth talking to the people who run the site, because they're building it all at the moment. It's ever expanding. I'm sure they'd be interested in looking at taking it and putting it in a more specific place. Yeah. Were there any other questions about call for participants before I move on? Okay. So one of the things I've had with some of my studies is it can be quite difficult to communicate to your potential participants what it's going to be like taking part in the study. So one of my studies involves people wearing a wearable camera and walking around wearing that for a week, carrying out a mobile diary study and filling in the diary on the mobile phone at the end of the day. And then there's ethical challenges to deal with that, so we have to train our participants in ethics. So when they go on the website, they read about all of this, and it can seem quite intimidating. So and I haven't got the video up here myself, but this is one of Becky's colleagues. One good way to kind of communicate your research is to look at maybe visual means or videos to communicate your research. So that's one of the things that we've created for this study, is a sort of short video that will show people what it's like to take part in it, so it doesn't look quite so intimidating. So this is just an example of how you might create a video just using your mobile phone that you can then put on the internet and help recruit. Is this going to work? Worked before. Does this look right, Becky?
Yeah, it's just slow.
Yeah.
Travelling with children in pushchairs in unfamiliar locations is a never-ending task. Often we encounter barriers such as flights of steps and curbs that need to be negotiated. In order to know which places to go to and which to avoid, you may look online for information. Maybe professional sources like Transport for London, maybe volunteer sources such as TripAdvisor. But either way, we look for information to find a way. Which of these sources are the best, most helpful, and in what way? These are very important questions that we need to look at giving transport information in the 21st century. This study gives various forms of information in different ways and finds out which is the best. To find out more, to take part, click on the button below and go to the next page. We'll give you full details of what the research is, why it is how it is, and talk through what's expected. The whole process takes at most about half an hour and is a period of implementation. Thanks a lot. That's Lisa.
So that's an example of how you might use something visual. I suppose it's got a bit of a personal touch when you can see the researcher as well. And yes, I mean, I'm not sure if you can embed videos into call for participants yet, but you can always link to a website that does. Sorry, I'm losing my microphone. So, and another thing about our research being quite complicated and at times is kind of how you present the participants with the resources they need for the participants for carrying out the study. So, I'm losing it again. So this isn't the packs we've used. This is a project that Becky's done, and they've branded it all of the different resources, and they've provided a nice pack that you can give to participants, and this gives them information about taking part in the study. So one of the studies we've done, like I said, it was quite complicated. People needed to wear a camera, they needed to understand when they could wear the camera. And so what we actually prepared, and we were lucky enough to have a design student with us at the time who made it look very user-friendly, was a sort of guidebook for the participants taking part in the research. And you could see actually, because we had the cameras, they did actually read these quite a lot. A lot of photos of them reading about taking part in the study. And it's just a really good way to kind of to introduce them to the study and all the different things that they might need to carry around as part of that. And branding just, it sort of makes it a bit more professional, but it also kind of makes it sort of, they can easily find it. So we also prepared little business cards that people could take round to hand out to people about them taking part in the study. So if the people that they encountered when they were wearing the cameras had some questions, they could give out a business card to contact us about it. So giving a kind of sort of branded pack to the participants is really good for them to help them take part in the study, makes it look less overwhelming. So this is the participant information sheets that Becky gave. So information sheets can be a bit frustrating to read as a participant. They can go on a bit. Ours was ridiculously long. And so to try and make it kind of appealing to them and engaging is really important, because they might take the information in a bit more of a meaningful way than just kind of reading through streams of plain text. So to try and present this to them in an engaging way, a visually engaging way, is really important. This is Becky's thing. Did you have anything to add?
Well, the idea of this, the idea of this is just that in our project we needed to get people to place temperature sensors around their home, and we could have written loads of information about it, but instead we just drew some little pictures about, so basically it needs to be between your hip and head height, so maybe on a bookcase or a shelf, away from direct sunlight, away from heat sources, and away from windows and drafts, because we were just thinking, how can we kind of communicate that message without them really having to read much information? So that's all that is. Just about making it visually appealing. Yeah,
I think the visuals is a really important thing. You can put pictures up and photos of what images are going to look like. If you're collecting data, visual data, it's really important for people to see the kind of photos or video sort of images of what their video data is going to look like, so they've got a bit more of a better idea.
Yeah, on that actually, in our project we're measuring people's energy use, their temperature in their homes, and we've got sensors in a number of rooms. So what we do when we go out to the people's houses is we show on the computer screen exactly what we can see from their homes, because it does make it a lot more, I don't know, I think it can be a little bit scary if you've got this equipment in your house and you're like, is that videoing me? What do they know about me? Do they know when I'm in or out? Like, where's that information going? But if you can be as see-through as you can about the whole process and be really clear on this is all we can see about your home, people are far more likely to engage with the research, far more likely to kind of be willing to participate and to give you the information they need. So almost go overboard in the amount of information that you show them, I think is the best method, really.
Yep.
So this is the same project that we were just talking about, and I'm just going to cover a little bit more about how you might communicate. So we've talked about communicating within the team, we've talked about communicating with participants. Now, how about communicating outside of that? So maybe with project partners, maybe with stakeholders, maybe with other academics about the research. So one of the things that we needed to do was, my project is called the De facto project. But we didn't really want participants to be able to know everything that we were trying to find out about in our project, because that would bias the results. So what we did was we rebranded the project as Go Digital, and this is a completely participant-facing project. The name, all the information is just for the participants. This is one website, this is another, this is the academic website. So actually, they're both looking at the same thing, they're both part of the same project, but to look at them, apart from you could compare the photos and see that the same people are on both, you wouldn't know that that's the same thing, because sometimes, I'm sure for a lot of you, it's really important that participants don't know what you're researching, but also the language is really different. So the language that we use when we talk to participants or on this website or in the information we send them, whilst it's professional, it's quite friendly. So this is Becky. Becky will be one of your main contacts for the Go Digital study, and we'll do our best to answer any of your questions. She's interested in all that you have to say about how you use your heating system and the process of installing your new boiler. Oh, I need to edit that writing, that's not quite right anymore. But so it's meant to be a little bit more friendly, a little bit more chatty to engage just general householders with. Whereas obviously on the De Facto site, we talk in academic language generally, we put the papers on there, conference posters, that sort of thing. So don't think you're kind of confined to one way of presenting yourself to stakeholders or to external people. You can split it and think about the names of your project, think about the way it's branded, think about who you're trying to interact with. And this is my colleague's project. So this is a project that is now drawing to the end. It's called the Leader Project. They have a completely academic website similar to ours on the Loughborough site. But what they've done is they've paid for professional development of a website in order to display their results for professional stakeholders. So the idea was that people would be able to look at the data and look at their results and use it. So they've got all sorts of things, so infographics of their data on here, personas, different outcomes, apps. But the thing that I find most interesting about this is Internet Explorer. It's not playing games. It's not going. I don't think it's going to work. But basically, on this website are all of the videos of the participants and all of the interviews they did with them. Now, I personally have never had ethics that have allowed me to do that. I've never had participants that would have been willing for their information, all their interviews, pictures of their homes, filming within the houses to go on a live website, but this project managed it. The participants were all happy for their information to go up, all happy for them to be identified. So if you cover the ethics well at the start, you can do this sort of website that actually is meant to be there for professionals, for people outside academia, and to make the results and the data and all of the really interesting stuff that we collect accessible to those people, rather than it being in a conference paper or it being in a journal article, because actually a lot of these professionals and a lot of people in industry aren't going to look for those articles, so they're not going to find out about the research. So it's just another way of making it more accessible to people.